Ever wonder why your team isn't quite hitting the mark, even though everyone is working really hard? Well, you might be missing a really important secret ingredient. Today, we're going to spice things up with the power of inclusion. Hi, my name is Clay Cutts. I'm a therapist turned business and leadership coach, and I'm also the founder of Square Peg Coaching. I help good leaders become great and great leaders become extraordinary. Years ago, gosh, probably 25 years ago at this point, I worked for a company that it was a great company. It was in the software industry, and everybody was young, hungry, and innovative, and like really, really working hard. And we got a long way just on youth and caffeine, right? And that's great. Except for that's not always what companies have to work with. And I was thinking about sort of what made like some situations in that company that made it work really well, and some that really were not so good. And I'm thinking about one leader that I worked for when I was in one particular job who was older than most of us, and he had this sort of like last generation like stoic leadership style, right? It was my way or the highway because I said so. He took all the credit. Anybody that had an idea, he talked people down. He ignored people, right? And it created this huge lack of trust, right? And that's in huge contrast to another person I worked for within that organization. And I remember this one meeting when we were starting a new product within the company, and they carved off a couple of us from a bunch of different departments. And we had our first meeting, and we're sitting in this boardroom. And there's, I don't know, 20 of us in there, and it's really, I was really honored to be part of this crowd because I was looking around and I was like, wow, these are a lot of the superstars from the company. So I was really excited. And the leader gets up there at the front, and there's they had the one wall covered with the whiteboard material. So it was like wall to wall, floor to ceiling of all the whiteboard. And there's like a basket of the whiteboard markers there. So the leader walks in, and everybody is chatting, and everybody kind of quiets down. And he walks up to the front, looks in the basket, and finds a blue marker, takes the cap off, sticks it on the end, turns towards the whiteboard, and looks over his shoulder and goes, "Go." Right? And we all sort of look at each other, and he, 20 seconds passed, and he said, "Go. What are your ideas? Let's start throwing them out." And finally, somebody said, and said something. He wrote it up there, and something else wrote it up there. And he's like, "No. These are bland ideas. Like I want the craziest ideas. I want something from everybody in this room." And so somebody said something that was like the dumbest idea you've ever heard of, and everybody laughed. And so somebody else came up with another dumb idea, and he was writing them up, and we're all laughing. And finally, somebody said something, and everybody's laughing, and everybody stopped. And I was like, you know what? That's actually not a bad idea. Right? And so the leader put the blue marker down and got out a red one and wrote that in big letters. And went, okay, this is where we're going to start. This is our first experiment. Right? And so the lesson that I take from that is the power of, well, creativity. There's a lot of good lessons in that. But what I want to highlight here is this power of inclusion. When he said, I want ideas from everybody in the room, he was paying attention. And there was that person sitting over on the side that wasn't saying anything. And he stopped everybody and said, I want an idea from you. The craziest idea you can think of. Right. And sort of pulling these ideas in, and we were sort of building on everybody else's ideas. And it really became the energy in the room, and the creativity just spiraled up. And did a couple things too. It set the tone for the entire project that lasted several years, right? Like this was going to be a project where we're innovative and creative, and we're going to include everyone. So some of the things that I want to highlight there is what he did right was he listened to people who were unheard, pulled people in who didn't speak. He also created channels for feedback. I want feedback from the developers. I want feedback from the salespeople. I want feedback from the database administrators. I want feedback from the from the customers, right? I want feedback from everybody. And the other thing too that I want to point out that wasn't quite done as well back then, because this was 25 years ago. But the only thing that would have made that better is a sense of authenticity and vulnerability. Now this is newer. This is more modern example of inclusion. Right now, when I say inclusion, I'm talking about the way we use inclusion in the business world. Now we want people of all different uh, ethnicities and races and genders and sexual orientations and religions and like everything. We want people of of all types to come in with all their backgrounds and all their histories and all their knowledge and all their different views of the world. We want that piece too, but we also want to listen to them, right? We want to actually listen to these people, to the people that we bring in, right? We don't want to just have this person like as a token. We want to really like, mine their cultural experience and their educational experience and their perspective, right? From everyone. And we want to be vulnerable and we want to be authentic, right? This is authenticity and vulnerability are leadership skills, and they're important in this particular case of inclusion. A true leader allows themselves to be seen. A true limitless leader allows themselves to be known and understood. By being vulnerable, you make it easier for other people to be vulnerable. And that's where really, really good ideas come from. And that's where the foundation of a fabulous culture comes from. Because what you're doing is you're creating safety. And where there's safety, there can be trust. And trust is the currency of leadership. So if you're wondering how to take your leadership from good to great to extraordinary all the way to limitless, the power of inclusion might be the piece that you're missing. Maybe. Remember, by opening up the conversation to everyone and really, really listening to everyone, you aren't diluting your message. You're enriching it. Become the leader that you were meant to be. One that includes people, respects people, empowers people. Go become an extraordinary leader. The world needs you.